In addition to all the swimming championships that are contested here, there are NCAA titles awarded also in 1- and 3-meter springboard diving events. The 1-meter event has already taken place, won by Randall Ableman of Iowa over Niki Stajkovic of Mark Spitz's alma mater, Indiana, and third place to a freshman from Arkansas named Ron Meyer. We're ready now to see diving from the 3-meter competition, and a chance for you, Mark, to provide us with the benefit of your diving expertise. Where did you gather this expertise?
Well, Robby Bollinger, the diving coach at Indiana University, happened to coach the likes of Ken Sitzberger, our good friend, and I had to take one physical education course, Jim. I took diving. I got an A from Robby.
I heard you had received an A while you were at Indiana. I'm glad to know it was in that class. See what happens.
We're going to be looking at dives from the last of the 11 rounds in the competition, but first a look back at the dive produced by the leader, Randall Ableman of Iowa, during the 10th round. With this dive, Ableman was able to take over first place in the competition. You heard the approval from the crowd, and the dive was scored 79.50, the highest score awarded to this point in the competition. It moved Ableman into first place, ahead of Indiana's Robby Bollinger and Niki Stajkovic, also of Indiana. Lenny Leyland of Miami is now fourth. Another look at Ableman's dive.
You can see the tremendous amount of concentration that he has going to the end of the board to plant his feet for that takeoff. He'll jump up into the pike position, doing a reverse 2.5. He'll come out of this pike, stretching, looking for the entry. Perfect. Hardly any splash at all.
So going into the last round of dives, Ableman, who has already won the 1-meter diving competition here, holds a lead of 12.35 points over Robby Bollinger of Indiana. Third place belongs to Niki Stajkovic, also of Indiana. Lenny Leyland of Miami, fourth, and a freshman named Ron Meyer from Arkansas is in fifth place. Now, the first diver we'll see in the last round is the man chasing Ableman, Robby Bollinger, a junior from Indiana.
He's going to do a forward 2.5 with 2 twists. Nice dive. A little heavy, though, on the entry.
A difficult dive with a high degree of difficulty. That will help him in the scoring. The scoring system, 7 judges, but only 3 scores count, as the top 2 and the bottom 2 are dropped. And then the total of those 3 is multiplied by the degree of difficulty. Bollinger gets 70.50 points on the dive.
He has a lot of nice concentration here going into this dive. He must get a lot of height so that he can execute that 2.5 somersaults with the 2 twists. There you can see he comes in heavy on the entry, which means his splash was just a little bit too much.
And the score of 70.50 leaves Bollinger with 540.70 as his final total. Ableman now needs a dive worth 58.5 points to wrap up the championship.
He's going to do a reverse 1.5 with 3.5 twists. Oh, he was over on that dive, Jim.
A real problem on the entry, and that could knock Randall Ableman out of first place unless he gets some surprisingly good scores. You can see the look of concern on his face as he leaves the pool. And sure enough, the score of 46.50 is not going to be good enough for Randall Ableman to hold first place.
It looked like his takeoff was all right. He goes up for this 1.5 somersaults, but it gets a little mixed up in his 3.5 twists. He comes out of it a little too soon, and he goes over on his dive, and his twist was a little off center as well.
The next diver we see is Niki Stajkovic of Indiana, currently in third place. A 73-point dive would give him the lead ahead of teammate Robby Bollinger. A 62-point dive would vault him ahead of Randall Ableman into second place.
He's doing a reverse 1.5 with 2.5 twists. Oh, his feet came apart a little bit, but a great entry anyway.
He saved it. His feet did come apart a little bit at the top. And remember, he needs a 62-point score to move ahead of Ableman. He gets 59.4, and that will leave Niki Stajkovic down in third place. And the last man with a chance to catch Niki Stajkovic, or either of the 2 divers ahead of him, is this young man, Arkansas freshman Ron Meyer.
He's doing a reverse 2.5. Great dive, great entry, perfect.
Outstanding pressure dive on his very last dive of the competition. And the crowd erupts with approval as Meyer scores 74.20, the second best dive of the entire competition. And that's good enough to move him all the way ahead of Ableman into second place.
Although it wasn't the most difficult dive in the program, he executes this perfectly. He goes into his reverse 2.5 in the tuck position. He reaches out, stretches for that entry. Good dive.
And there's a good look at the young man whose last dive catapulted him all the way from 5th up to 2nd. Now Diana Nyad is with the winner, Robby Bollinger.
They say your list is the toughest list of dives. Do you feel that you perform better that way?
Well, my plus in diving is that I'm a strong diver, you know, and I can make some of these harder dives. I jumped trampoline for about 9 years before I started diving, and that last trick is a kickoff from a trampoline move that I used to do, and just added a half a twist and a half a somersault, and it worked out good for me tonight.
And now another look at the dive that won the competition for Robby, the one he referred to in that interview.
Jimmy goes into this forward 2.5 somersaults with 2 twists. He comes out of the somersault with still a half a twist left. Nice entry, a little heavy though.
But the real key was the high degree of difficulty which enabled him to rack up more than 70 points on the dive and move into first place. Final standings, Bollinger the winner. Second place to Ron Meyer of Arkansas. Third, Ableman of Iowa. We'll be back.